What if I told you the single biggest shift between leaders who stagnate and leaders who sprint ahead isn't training, title, or talent? It's mindset, not optimism, not grit. It's a growth mindset. The deliberate belief that skills can be developed, intelligence can expand, and failure is data, not destiny. In 2025, where AI takes the rote and complexity rises, the leaders who win aren't those who know more. They're the ones whose teams learn faster. This guide is a blueprint. The science, the hard facts, and the exact practices to rewire your thinking and build a culture of relentless development. Ready to stop being stuck and start becoming? Let's go. Why growth mindset still matters, and what the science actually says. Growth mindset, popularized by Carol Dweck, is the idea that abilities are malleable, that effort, strategy, and feedback change outcomes. That's powerful because it converts helplessness into practice. Setbacks become experiments, not verdicts. But the research is nuanced. Large meta-analyses show that growth mindset interventions can help, especially when they're targeted and implemented with fidelity. Yet effects vary widely by context and delivery. In short, mindset matters, but how you teach and model it matters more. There's also biological proof. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire across the lifespan, means your cognitive abilities and habits are not fixed. New synapses form with practice. Networks strengthen with repetition. That's the physiology behind the promise. Your brain changes when you train it. If you want to get better at learning, your brain will meet you there. For organizations, this shift isn't theoretical. Recent workplace research shows companies that operationalize learning, continuous upskilling, stretch assignments, and feedback cycles win in retention and innovation. The 2024 LinkedIn Workplace Learning Report highlights that a culture of learning creates a virtuous circle. Employee growth boosts company growth, and vice versa. That's the ROI of mindset in practice. Executives know this too. Surveys report a majority of companies linking growth mindset cultures to profitability and innovation, showing leaders are doubling down on mindset as a strategic lever. But remember, rhetoric is not equal to results. The interventions that stick are baked into systems, not one-off workshops. Core principles, the mental architecture of growth. To build a growth mindset that actually changes behavior, you must move beyond slogans. Here are 5 core principles, each a discipline you practice daily. Process, overpraise, praise process, strategy, effort, tactics, instead of innate talent. Instead of, you're a genius, say, you stuck with a hard problem and tested 3 strategies. That's how progress happens. This simple linguistic shift rewires motivation. Iterative feedback loops. Replace yearly reviews with short cycles. Experiment, feedback, iteration. Fast loops reward learning velocity, not illusion of perfection. Stretch plus safety. Give people work that's just beyond current skill, and simultaneously give psychological safety to fail and learn. Growth happens in that tension zone. Meta-learning skills. Teach people how to learn. Deliberate practice, spaced repetition, interleaving, and retrieval practice. Smart methods beat slogging. Systemic incentives reward learning behaviors, risk-taking, knowledge sharing, and recovery from failure. In compensation and promotion criteria, culture follows incentives, tools, and techniques. 2025 ready. Deliberate practice, templates. Break skills into atoms. Define a 10-minute micro-skill to repeat with immediate feedback. Use recordings or peer review. Spaced repetition systems. Use SRS tools for long-term encoding of complex knowledge. Learning contracts. Public pacts where an individual commits to a specific learning goal. Milestones and accountability partners. AI practice. Partners. Use LLMs to role-play interviews, code reviews, or customer scenarios. AI scales repetition safely. Growth dashboards. Track experiments, learning hours, and knowledge shares. Visualize team learning velocity. Coaching language. What actually works? Words matter. Here's a short scripting cheat sheet to replace fixed mindset responses with growth-oriented ones. Instead of, you're so talented, say, I noticed the strategy you used. Tell me about how you developed that. Instead of, that's not your strength, say, this is a skill you can build. What's one step you can try next? When a project fails, skip blame. What did we learn? What will we try differently? Practicing this language shifts attribution from innate labels to controllable processes. Pitfalls and realities. Avoid the hype traps. Growth mindset isn't magic. Research shows intervention effects are heterogeneous. When interventions are shallow, single workshops, slogans. Gains are minimal. The wins come from embedded practices, coaching, repeated feedback, and organizational alignment. So don't spray posters and hope. Build systems. Also beware of toxic positivity. Praising effort without teaching strategy or admitting context can hollow out the message. True growth mindset couples optimism with rigor. Practice plus feedback plus method. Leadership actions to cement growth culture. If you lead the function, team, or company, here are 3 high-impact moves you can take this quarter. Launch a 90-day learning sprint, public goals, weekly demos, and executive attendance at demo days. Make learning visible and honored. Upgrade feedback. Cadence. Replace annual reviews with monthly learning reviews tied to development plans. Train managers in coaching feedback. Incentivize experimentation. Seed a small venture fund for team experiments. Reward lessons learned publicly, even when ROI is delayed. Real cases. Growth mindset in action. Education. Meta-analyses indicate small but consistent improvements where growth mindset is supported by strong implementation. Targeted interventions for students who most need them and ongoing teacher coaching. That shows context and fidelity are decisive. Workplace. Leading L&D reports. Note that organizations embracing continuous learning see higher retention and innovation metrics. Applied growth mindset becomes a business advantage, not just a morale booster. A final practice. The 2-minute growth reframe. Whenever you're about to criticize yourself or someone else, pause 120 seconds and apply this mini protocol. Name the fact. The project missed X. Ask for the process. Walk me through how we tried to solve this. Extract one lesson. What one change will we test next? Commit to tiny experiment. We'll do Y for 2 weeks and report back. This short ritual converts reactive blame into strategic learning. Picking up the thread. Advanced growth mindset. From practice to organizational power. You've planted the seeds, process praise, micro-practice, stretch assignments, and learning rituals. Now we move from gardener to architect. This is where individual habits become organizational muscle, where growth mindset stops being a slogan on a slide deck and becomes the way your company operates. The strategic architecture, 4 pillars that turn learning into advantage. To flip culture, you must weave 4 structural pillars into everything you do. Learning infrastructure, tools, platforms, and time budgets that make practice easy. Behavioral economics, incentives, rituals, and nudges that make growth habitual. Leadership modeling, visible, repeated, and vulnerable learning by senior leaders. Operationalized metrics, dashboards, and rewards that treat learning as a core KPI. These pillars collapse or scale together. Weak one, and the rest bend. Strengthen all, and learning becomes unstoppable. The tech stack, AI-enabled coaching, and 2025 tools. We're no longer limited to human coaches and dusty LMS. Use AI as your scalable practice partner. AI role-playing partners. Use LLMs to simulate customer objections, interview panels, or tough negotiations. Reps, practice 20 times faster. Micro-feedback engines. Voice and text analysis tools provide real-time prompts. Name the emotion you just detected, or try this reframing. These are non-judgmental mirrors that accelerate skill encoding. Spaced repetition and SRS. Integrate Anki-style repetition into product onboarding and leadership programs for durable retention. Case snapshot. Learning that scales. A composite story. Imagine a fintech mid-sized company, revenue plateauing. They implemented the roadmap above. Time bank, AI practice for customer reps, innovation sandbox, and a learning dashboard. Within 9 months, they doubled their innovation yield. Small experiments led to a radical UX tweak that increased conversion by 18%. Retention improved as employees reported more autonomy and visible growth paths. The learning budget paid for itself within 2 product launches. This is not fantasy. This is learning treated as capital, not charity. The long view, culture, is built on repetition. Flip culture doesn't happen with a single memo. It's the accumulation of thousands of choices. Who gets time? Which failures get honored? What gets promoted? And who stands up and says, I messed up, and here's what I learned. That repetition sculpts neural circuits and organizational norms alike. One last practical ritual. At the end of every month, run a 5-minute company pulse. Everyone names one experiment they ran and one insight they gained. That tiny habit multiplies into a culture where the default response to setbacks is not shame, but inquiry. Build that habit, measure it, celebrate it, and watch ordinary teams become extraordinary learners.